We hear a lot about mental health these days, don't we? This historically taboo subject has been brought front and centre, helped partly by it being talked about by Diana, Princess of Wales, and more recently her sons William and Harry and other celebrities. It's suddenly okay to talk about mental health, and everyone is talking about it, which is a good thing. But I'm going to talk about work, why I think it's good for us and good for our mental health. Someone I met recently who's been having a tough time on the brink of serious mental health issues said to me just the other day, if I hadn't had my work, I would not have survived, especially at Christmas when I got very down. For many people, work provides our sense of purpose, and more than that, it pretty much defines who we are. For many of us, once we leave full-time education, it is the very foundation of our life. It is therefore fundamental and critical to our happiness. Take it away and you could find yourself in a big black hole. Work, of course, can be many things. It can be a trade, a profession, a job, a vocation, a career, or a series of careers. It can be being a parent or a homemaker. A job can be as a mother or a father, or any of the alternative sorts of parent that most of us are lucky enough to have had the nurturing support of in our early years of life. Work can mean all sorts of things, but whatever it means to you, it impacts your wellness and your well-being, and it is very important. Some people think the royals don't work, but they do. At least some of them do, and the head of the firm certainly works. Just look at Her Majesty the Queen. She works harder than anyone you could name, and she's going to be 96 in April this year. When I grew up in post-war Britain, we didn't talk about mental health at all, and yet there were many people suffering. The walking wounded, you could say, invisibly scarred by the things they saw in war or the prejudice and injustice they suffered because they were gay. Many were negatively impacted by other causes, I'm sure. In England, being gay was illegal in the 1950s and resulted in folks being jailed just for being who they are. Many people suffering mental health issues for whatever reason committed suicide. Apparently, there was not much help in those days, perhaps because mental health was a taboo topic. We still have battle-scarred veterans coming back from wars we should not be fighting, as we have not yet learned not to do that to ourselves and each other. But thankfully today, not too many people are systematically driven to despair for being who they are. Nevertheless, many people, as happened to me, can easily fall into depression and loss of self-belief. It can happen at any time for all kinds of reasons, but my focus is on the fact that it can happen when we retire and stop work. It can happen if we lose our job because of illness or injury, or if our work is suddenly taken away from us through unexpected redundancy or being laid off for whatever reason. For many of us, our work has been what we do or have done most days for 30, 40, or 50 years, and all of a sudden, bam, it stops. It's gone. And one is left with what? Lots of time to ponder, time to potter, time to think and reflect, maybe play a bit of golf, pursue a hobby or a passion. As far as work is concerned, it is easy to think you're done, you're finished. Even soldiers returning from war lose almost everything that defined them when they return home and leave the armed forces. Our mental health is a very fragile thing. I teach managers to be positive and believe they can do whatever they want and aspire to achieve. Mindset is the single most important factor that brings them success. I believe that if you think you can, then you will. If you think you can't, you won't even try, or you won't try hard enough. And if you think you're finished, you are finished. This can be incredibly negative and can drive anyone into depression and down a slippery slope into the black hole of despair. Just thinking and believing they're finished can even drive people into taking their own life if they see no light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever self-talk you have going on in your head, it has a powerful effect. It affects your ability to sleep, it affects your stress levels, it affects your family, and it certainly impacts upon your wellness and well-being. In short, it affects your mental health. The human mind is a powerful thing. It needs to be filled and constantly topped up with positive and healing thoughts. Our minds have a profound impact on most aspects of our life, including our physical health. We have a lot going on in our subconscious mind, even as we sleep. So we do well to keep our self-talk positive and uplifting. We spend a lot of our lives working. In 2020, the estimated expected duration of working life for men was 38 years, while for women it was 33.2 years. The expected average working life duration among EU member states ranged from 31.2 years in Italy to 42 years in Sweden. Work takes up 21% of our total waking hours over a 76-year lifespan, assuming 8 hours of sleep a night. 35% of our total waking hours over a 50-year working life. And then we retire and it all stops. What do we do then? Many people look forward to their retirement. They'll take up their favorite hobby. They'll travel. They'll have more time for family and grandchildren. But what if, just what if, their work was their thing? The main thing that made them tick. The thing that provided much, maybe most, if not all of their identity, their sense of self. Take it away and you have taken away more than their job or profession. You may have taken away their sense of self. You may have taken away their very identity and their sense of purpose. What got them out of bed in the morning? Does that sound like a good idea? I don't think so. Work is good for us. It is good for the soul. It is good for all those things like our sense of self, our sense of purpose, our identity. Ask most people at a cocktail party or a social gathering, so what do you do? They don't usually say, I'm a father to my daughter, or I'm a husband to my wife. They usually tell you what they do for a living, don't they? It defines many of us. I retired in a corporate reorganization when I was 62. I hadn't wanted to retire. It was just suddenly forced upon me. I spent a couple of years doing what I wanted to do, learning to fly. I deliberately treated it like it was my job. 3 days a week I had a lesson. The other 2 or 3 days I studied the theory, and I took a day off to rest and relax. It was my work. I then realized I could not go on flying forever without more income, so I went back to work. I restarted my business, tried to buy a derelict hotel, got defrauded out a lot of my pension savings in a scam, so I had to stop. Then I missed my work. It had given me structure and purpose. It was what I got out of bed for in the morning, and even though it was sometimes hard and frustrating, especially when I was working in the corporate world, it is what made me tick. Work is what made me feel I was doing something useful, part of society. Working kept my mind busy and excited about life and what I was doing. I loved it. When it stopped, I missed it tremendously, and I fell into that black hole of depression. So what did I do? It took several years and it involved climbing out of that black hole again, but I made up my mind to unretire myself. I started up my business yet again, and I went back to work. Now, working again, even with multiple setbacks, including the loss of some of my retirement savings, and of course more recently COVID, and even while earning little or no money in the early stages of getting going again, I work harder than ever before, and I love every minute of it. I won't ever fully retire again. A 2016 study of about 3,000 people published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health suggested that working, even 1 year beyond retirement age, was associated with a 9 to 11% lower risk of dying during the 18-year study period, regardless of other health factors. Another study found that when people moved from unemployment or stay-at-home parenting into paid work of up to 8 hours per week, their risk of mental health problems was reduced by an average of 30%. Curiously, no greater benefit derived from working more than 8 hours a week. So I guess the message is, work a day, or a couple of half days, or a couple of hours for 4 days, and play golf or do what interests you the rest of the time. Work is good for me, and it's good for you. Work is good for all of us. It's good for our wellness and our well-being. Work is especially good for our mental health. Consequently, it's good for our physical health, and by extension, it is good for our general health. As a matter of fact, it's an established fact that it helps us live longer. It has worked for Her Majesty the Queen of England and her mother before her, so it's good enough for me. Thank you.